I sure have been playing a lot of early fighting games lately. Big Challenge Judo Senshuken is all one-on-one judo matches. So it's basically a fighting game. Of course, you're just restricted to doing judo moves, and not even a huge number of them, so this isn't the most dynamic fighting game out there. Big Challenge Judo Senshuken is the first in a new style of branding that Jaleco is applying to their Disk System games. From this point on, all of Jaleco's FDS games begin with Big Challenge. Though to be honest, I don't think any of the challenges are really that big. Your goal in Judo Senshuken is to win the World Judo Championship. And when you start the game, you've got the option to go practice in the dojo, or start the championship. This is a fake choice though. A lot of your success or failure in any bout is dependent upon your stamina, and winning matches in the dojo increase your maximum stamina. A new character only has a maximum stamina of about half the bar. Once you start the championship, you're locked in. You can no longer go back to the dojo to practice. So there's absolutely no reason not to go to the dojo and take on the opponents there until you have a full stamina bar. The way that bouts take place in Judo Senshuken is not very straightforward. Your goal is to either pin your opponent to the ground for 10 seconds, or to throw them especially well. If you throw someone, then you might not be awarded the full points, and you have to get 3 points in order to win the match. Until you grapple your opponent, you really can't do anything. There's no punches or kicks that you can perform until you're in a grab. Then, pressing a direction and hitting the A button will either perform a foot sweep, or it attempts to shove your opponent. Attempting any move costs your stamina, and if you're successful with one of these moves, then it will cost your opponent stamina. Doing especially well with a foot sweep may knock them to the ground. Throwing moves are performed with the B button, and you can choose which move you're going to do by pressing a direction and hitting B. I only performed one throw in the hour that I was playing the game. Throws really seem to only be effective if your stamina is higher than your opponent. And just because of the nature of the game, when you're playing against a computer, that's a situation that just won't occur. Naturally, that means that your computer opponents will throw you all the time, and if they're blinking, that means they're about to throw you especially hard. You do have a defensive maneuver for this, pressing A and B simultaneously. That costs a bit of your stamina, but it prevents them from throwing you. Since those are all of the moves that you can perform, what matches wind up coming down to is grappling, sweeping and hoping to throw your opponent, and if they do, running up to their head, pressing down and B, and that will pin them, sometimes. You have to be lined up exactly right, and even then it sometimes won't work. If you're pinned like this, mashing A and B can get you out of it, but if you've got them pinned, well then you just hope that you win. Sometimes the pin works as a submission hold and they'll give up halfway through the count, but it's more likely that you've got to wait out the count of 10. One nice thing in Judo Senshuken is that the opponents are given at least a little bit of personality, like this guy who hops around before you fight, and this guy who always backs away from you until he's out of the ring and then you have to reset. When you back up, he approaches. It's not much, since every single character fights exactly the same, but at least it's something. This wasn't a popular game in Japan, but someone at Jaleco seems to have had some fondness for it, since they revisited almost the exact same game a few years later as Moedo Judo Warriors. The game systems are extremely similar between the two, though the cartridge system gives you some feedback with the chance bar to give you a better idea of when you can throw someone. I can't really say that Judo Senshuken is really worth playing. The only viable strategy that I could find, and apparently anyone else could find, is to sweep the leg and then pin them. The game already felt limited, but that just makes it worse. I'm even dubious that you'd have a lot of fun in a two-player match. Adding a couple more throws to the mix doesn't feel like it changes up a whole lot. Some of these early fighting games I've been seeing are interesting experiments that were influential and helped people figure out how the genre would work. This is not one of them. The best I can give it is that it might be the first judo video game. But when the gameplay is this poor, that's not really something to brag about.